Welcome to my show. A guest here. Her name is Raelene Weaver. Mrs. Raelene, how are you doing, ma?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Mrs. Raelene. Firstly, you are a licensed marriage. You're also a TEDx speaker. You're once a TEDx speaker, and you are a family therapist. Can you please, ma, discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, ma?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm actually a retired licensed marriage and family therapist. Um, I also have a kindergarten through 12th grade teaching credential, so I was able to work with special ed kids in classrooms and in private practice. I worked with teenagers, male teen sex offenders. And over the last few years, I've written a book. And as you mentioned, I did a TEDx talk called Let Boys Be Kids First. I also have a Facebook group that is dedicated to men's and boys' mental health issues.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much, ma. And do you also have, can you discuss on your book, and do you also have any book you're planning to write on the coming future, ma?
It was Timotopy. It was quite a feat self-publishing that book. So I was very fortunate to have good people helping me, but I don't think I could pull that off again. But thank you for asking. Um, yeah, Let Boys Be Kids First was really a labor of love, and the basis of it is the importance of raising emotionally healthy boys. And when we do that, it has a positive ripple effect on society because boys that can identify and manage their emotions tend to be more confident and they tend to communicate better and feel better about themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much, Mrs. Rellin. And there is the old boy code and there is also the new boy code. There are two different type of there are different way a boy can, be emotionally drained and also strengthened. What do you think is the old boy code? And how do you think it has traditionally shaped the way boys are raised, ma?
Well, I think, things do change over time. Um, but I think in, generations past and still today, boys get a lot of mixed messages about what it means to be a man and what it means to be masculine. And the old boy code is the more traditional um, idea that boys need to be tough, they're not supposed to show sadness or weakness. They're not supposed to cry. They're always supposed to have the answer. And yeah, they're just expected to be able to do everything and not necessarily be in touch with their feelings. And I think that for some boys, that really limits them because maybe they are very good at foreign languages or art or cooking, or they happen to be very good at helping people, being a teacher, being a counselor, a caregiver. And if those boys aren't able to value that inner strength that they have, that empathy and that kindness, that kind of makes them feel not part of the group, not very valued or not very popular. And um, I think that's a negative thing. Also, when boys are told not to express their emotions, those emotions don't just go away. I mean, we're all human. We all have emotions. And if emotions get internalized, it can cause depression and anxiety. And if emotions become externalized, it can cause, fighting or being combative or domestic violence. So I think that restricting a boy's ability to have his emotions can be very damaging to him and also to those that he interacts with.
Thank you so much, ma. And that also brought me to the point of the new boys code and the old boys code, Mrs. Rellin. What do you think is the new boy code to? And how do you think it really differs from the old boy code, ma?
Well, the new boy code does allow boys to have their emotions, and it's more based on character. So the new boy code is boys will be respectful and responsible for their actions. Boys cry, and that's okay. Act like a human, be kind, and be yourself. So, with the new boy code, it allows boys to fully have all their emotions and to be able to grow into the kind of man, it's kind of like their own brand of masculinity. It's being tough and tender. It's not just all, being tough. It's being able to have their emotions, to be strong, to be good leaders, but also to be sensitive and to care about others.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much, Mrs. Rellin. And I also like to go to the point of parent. Parent plays a huge role to their boys. That is why most of the time when the boys grow older and become a man, he always have this more love for the mother due to the patience and the care the mother gives to him. So I would like to go to the point of parents, Mrs. Relling. What strategies do you think parents can use to encourage boys to express their emotion openly, ma?
Well, I think that it begins at a very young age, and I think it should be all the way through college. What it's called social emotional learning. And for the young ones, like in preschool, it can be as simple as a little classmate being sad about something. Maybe their turtle died or whatever, and the other classmates can say, "How can I fill your bucket?" It's like, "How can I help you? How can I comfort you? How can I make you feel better?" And I think parents can do that by listening to their kids, whatever their concerns are, and being patient, and again, being sensitive to what their needs are. And then as boys get older, maybe, um, elementary school and then into kind of like junior high school, it's having them be able to say, gee, I was at school today and I saw this boy being bullied. And the parent can say, well, how do you think that felt? How do you think he experienced that? And how do you think that affects his life? And then also, what do you think the bully was feeling? And why do you think someone would do that? Um, it's also maybe watching a movie or a TV program and stopping it and saying, how do you think that person was feeling at that time? What could that other character have done to have helped them out? So it's just really allowing the child to express their feelings, talking to them about their feelings, and then having them develop empathy for others. And then as boys get older, like maybe into high school or college, I really think that having boys groups, if that's possible to do at school, where you've got a teacher or a counselor there, so that boys can talk about the stress, the pressures, the peer pressure, all of the challenges that they're going through, and have a safe space so they can talk about those things and not feel like they're competing with other boys or always having to win, win, win. It's about being honest and being vulnerable and getting support and giving support to other boys.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much, Mrs. Raelene. And with the technology we have today, there are a lot of societal expectation a son should be expecting. How do you think, or what do you think parents should do if they notice their son is struggling to balance societal expectation with emotions, ma?
I think that's a very good question, and I think it does depend on the societies. You're in Nigeria, I'm in America. I think some things are kind of global, like I was saying, being tough, being the provider, always having the answers. But as far as one society or a culture, um, I think parents probably want to honor some of those things, but I would always have a parent ask themselves, am I raising my boy differently? And then if they have a girl, differently from, my little girl. Am I giving her more affection? Am I, letting her be emotional? And if they're not doing that with their boys, I really encourage them to ask themselves why. Are they afraid that their boy will be, considered weak or a mama's boy or whatever? And I really encourage parents to challenge that because when boys are loved, when you point out positive things about their nature, things that they're good at, um, things that they really love to do, you're helping them build that connection, that strong parental connection that can stay there a lifetime. And it's also helping boys to be more confident in who they are. So I think parents just have to be mindful of what their expectations are, but to really value their own kid and to um, love the kid that they have.
Hmm, completely agree. Thank you so much, Mrs. Relling. And empathy do also play a huge role. And what role do you think it plays in raising emotionally healthy boys? And how can parents nurture it, ma?
Well, it's some of the things I think we talked about a little bit is I think in the household it depends, some cultures they kind of idolize the boy and the boy doesn't have to do any chores or doesn't really have to do things that are considered feminine. And I really challenge that to raise boys to be self-sufficient so that they learn how to make their bed. They can do things around the house. And they learn how to take care of themselves and to take care of others. So I think that that's very important. Um, and tell me a little bit more about what the question was.
Yeah, I was talking about empathy, the role it
Mhm.
plays in raising, children that could be emotionally, healthy, and how can parents also nurture that empathy, ma?
Yeah, I think again, it's kind of that attitude of how can I help? Um, where are the helpers? I think. Mr. Rogers, who was popular in this country with children's programs, he would say if there's something disruptive or something going on that's scary or people are, being hurt, is to ask yourself, where are the helpers? Where are the people that are trying to help out, to create solutions, to give people support? So I think that's a good message. And again, following the strengths of their son. If they are outgoing, well, then how can they be a leader, a good leader? How can they um, be a good citizen? I think, Timotopy, that a lot of the times for boys, we rate them on performance. How fast are they? How smart are they? How good are they at sports or at academics? And that's fine. We want our kids to thrive and to achieve. But I also think that we really need to pay attention to character. It's not just how good he is at sports or how smart he is. It's like what kind of character is he going to be a good citizen? Will he contribute to society as far as being there to help others? Being a good leader. Being a good leader is bringing out the strengths in the people that work for you and letting them shine. And the same thing in community settings, if it's church or if it's a group that, helps out in the community, how can you add value and help people? So I think that's kind of a message that I would give.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Rowling. And for parents who would like to, hear one or two things from you about raising emotionally healthy boys, what do you think is, the one takeaway you would like parents to remember about raising emotionally healthy boys, now?
Little boys have the same emotional capacity as little girls, and it's a strength, not a weakness. I would really ask parents to think about that in that the heart, to tell a little boy, his heart is his strongest muscle.
Wow, thank you so much, Mrs. Rowling. And lastly, what advice do you think you can have for parents who grew up with the old boy code and want to adopt a new approach, ma?
I love that question, Timotopy. I think for anyone who realizes that the way that they were parented maybe had some limitations. Maybe there were some good things, but maybe there were some things that weren't so great. So I really appreciate and really honor parents that want to make positive change. I think that's amazing because you're not just sending the same message, generation after generation. You're wanting to maybe break that cycle or you're wanting to make a positive difference. So I love that. Everything that we've talked about is what they can do to develop empathy, to allow their boy to grow into the strongest person, the best person that he can be. Um, I would tell them to go buy my book or look at my TEDx talk, because that has a lot of information in there too. Um, but most of all, you know, give them the love and affection that maybe you felt was missing when you were growing up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mrs. Rowling. I completely agree. And thank you so much again. Lastly, there is a question I normally ask Mrs. Rowling. From the ancestors, from the forefathers, there are a lot of things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If
Mm.
there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, ma?
Again, I don't know. I think it's based on character. Ancestors, I think, want to send, positive messages to each generation. And I think that, building strong character, having that ability to lift people up, to be a positive force in a community, I think those are, that would be valued. Um, there's a group that I don't know. I don't think it's in Africa, but here in the United States, there's a boys running club called Let Me Run. And definitely it has that element of being physically strong and physically active. And they do, races and runs and that kind of thing. But the way it's structured is that boys support one another. They compete individually to be as strong as they can and to finish the race, in a good time. But they support one another. And one of the things that's really, I think, very positive about Let Me Run is that all of the boys in the running group give messages. They write out a little message and they give it to each boy in the group, and it's complimenting them on something. It's that I like the way that you make me laugh, or I like your orange tennis shoes, or whatever. It's something that is supporting the boy, and it's not too often in life that we have a chance to see what other people see us as. And it's nice if someone thinks that you have a good sense of humor, or that you are good with animals, or, you know, whatever. So I would say that, from ancestors, I think it's passing along strength and courage, but also compassion and empathy.
Mm, thank you so much, Mrs. Raelene. And I also, completely agree with this. Children of today, they need to just have this community that's going to build their strength, that's going to build their confidence so that they won't be shy away. There are a lot of tough things that is coming ahead of them. Even with this, situation of internet and stuff like that, more tougher things. So a child has to have that strength and capability to conquer the world he finds himself. I want to sincerely thank you, Mrs. Raelene, for speaking on this topic. Thank you so much, ma.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, ma. Bye bye.
Bye bye.